Friends, I greet you, still with you Sergey Puzanov, and today as you can see, my vlog will be dedicated, 10 in 2 sweaters. Ha ha ha, of course I'm joking. I am on the bank of the Moscow River, a location that I often visit in spring. Shallow water area. Well, in the fall I was here very rarely. Well, since I haven't been here at all this season. From the previous episode, you remember that? I started to lay out some new places for myself. Scratched the car. I spent a fortune on polishing it, 5,000 rubles there. Decided that's it. New points are well forgotten old ones. That's why today at this location I'm not alone with my friend Vasya. And one more assistant that I promised. I'll tell you in the last episode. This is a little device like this. Beacon 8 Wi-Fi practice, which appeared in the 20th year. Relatively recently, there are still few reviews on the internet. Today we will try to do some magic with it. Look, what new products has the company Practic prepared for us today? For modern fishermen. Besides the fact that it's new, there's a cool plus here, which was most likely the race. And the race is not easy. And the most important thing is that it is very important for us. This is the weight of the device itself. 75 grams. The previous models were, in my opinion, around 110 7th generation, a competitor in 90 grams. And here please is a response from our manufacturer. At 75 grams, this means that you can take a simple medium form. It is no longer necessary to carry huge river boats with you. With a test of 180 to confidently shoot afar. What to insert to the leader so that he doesn't give. God, he didn't come off. Now you can easily throw at a distance of 40 to 50 meters. Most often our working distances. With a simple medium blank up to 80 grams in height 3 and 6. Everything is flying great. The only nuance is the weight, which is in such a borderline range. I think there is no point in making it any easier. For one simple reason, crosswind. We have to make allowances for it, because the device is quite light. Well, the diameter is 65, so 2 beams, and wide narrow is 1230 degrees. Type of connection Wi-Fi is clear. Connection range up to 100 meters is an absolute fact, because I took such a seasoned form. I threw them right there at the maximum choice that I could 80, even if I hid the phone somewhere behind some bushes or branches. The connection never broke. Time works until 7 o'clock. But as far as I remember, there is a fast charging option. The charger is now magnetic. You can charge the device in 15 minutes. For work for an hour and a half. That is, if you have some power banks with you. For phones and so on, you can plug in a USB there. Next is magnetic charging. Stood for 15 minutes, an hour and a half of work, but in practice there have already been 3 or 4 fishing trips there. Well, this is more than just going to look for fish. I don't think you'll spend 7 hours looking for fish. With this device you can find it much faster. The optimal location for fishing. Possibility of connecting 2 users. On ramparts. A system of multi-frequency scanning ProScan. Yes, multifunctional yes. Free mobile app. Yes, this is a very important point. Finally, the My Practitioner app is out on iOS. A completely new application with all the improvements, the nuances we've been waiting for. The only nuance is that now in Practice Beacon 8 no GPS sensor. Well, I don't really do any map drawing. I come and check the location along the coast. I find fish here and catch them there accordingly. But later I was told, what in the near future, this will appear for those for whom it is fundamentally important and necessary. Well, fish symbols, water temperature sensor, relief structure, bottom density. It's very cool now it's drawn in the application. I think you see it on your screens. Sensitivity adjustment. Well, yes, that's understandable. So the functions of the car plotter and in general practically professional. Cartography format I used their Dex, Lawrence, Garmin, etc. Full-fledged slot. Do you understand the pedo costing devices for $500,000? Really draws the bottom structure very well. I consider the improvements to be very important and fundamental. As always, there are instructions in the box. I still don't understand why she needs the device. By the way, the device became non-disassemblable. It really doesn't weigh anything at all. Well, it's probably 2 times lighter than a phone. This is such a cool, healthy clasp. The producers will take care of it, which I immediately snap on my carabiner and launch into the water. You can connect using a QR code, or simply through the Wi-Fi system. There is also this cord in the box, which I talked about on the magnetic charger. Next, Magnet 4. Reset as I understand it or starting the device at home. But I collected it, rubbed my finger and everything works again. I don't understand what this magnet is for. In fact, there is nothing else in the box. Another new and useful thing is this cool feature. This can be deduced. All the device readings on a huge screen without loss of quality. Maybe this will be useful for sports teams who study bodies of water. They train for a few days before major tournaments. In order to discuss some structural issues, a selection of fishing spots, or what tier the fish is in. The device also has an intelligent fisherman alert system. That is red. Idiot when it burns. This means the device is not connected or the connection was broken after you take it out of the water. Blue means it is ready to connect. He himself, accordingly, is in the water. There is a connection contact. All that remains is to connect to Wi-Fi, and the green signal indicates that the device is ready for immediate use and is ready. For example, cartography. As I said, it has been brought to a professional level, which means you will be able to share your maps, absolutely any size, with your friends, colleagues. It is also possible to enter a fishing diary. Comment to the photos with your personal notes there. What was it that caught my attention? How did it bite? Why? And some features of the point. My Practitioner app is a unified platform for them and Lotus and Sensor's Practic 8 series with Wi-Fi module. For the convenience of users, there are profiles with ready-made set of settings, Egyptian settings, Egyptian visualization settings. There is a possibility of viewing and recording cold data, and also connection of 2 users, each of which can be customized. Visualization for yourself. Another important aspect, this is because the device is not disassemblable. I think it solved a lot of problems regarding when we took the ball apart and spun it. Inserted the charger, then we had to get back together and get into poses. Don't finish tightening, twist. And the device was not allowed, so that the platinum rubber does not deteriorate over time, I think. Anyway, one way or another, all these sealing rings lost their tightness in the device. Maybe it fogged up there, condensed and so on. Here it is a completely sealed one-piece device. Who will surely be able to avoid all these nuances? Well, what about Vasily and I distributed fishing ranges to check the readings, so to speak? And cold. It catches about 30 meters. 30 in my opinion, 5. I have 42 and the second distance is 60. At 60 points, it seems more or less confident. Just such an awesome slider. And on the near one, this is a transition into such really small stones junk. It seems like a promising point in general. Well, in previous fishing trips last year, they showed that the main line is 39.42. There's just a fish somewhere there. Runs all the time, but the first 2 hours, it seemed like we mixed something wrong. But we have completely different compositions, so the trick is clearly not in the feed. So far, everything is sad. Right after the initial feeding, some pokes have begun. After that, they immediately end. The most important thing is one more nuance. This is not a time to fool around with a live component. All in this water area, which is gated on both sides, is located Ibradiva, who already participated in competitions. We were fishing. I understand what we are talking about. So many so-called cigarette pike perch, just the size of a cigarette. exactly the same asp, exactly the same chubba. And the perch is rare for some reason. Ah, this new attack speaks about that. That this year the fish hatched just super. With which we of course congratulate her. We followed all the rules. But unfortunately for that, the rest of the fish disappeared somewhere, and the frequent ones have already become zeros at competitions, which is generally paranormal for brothers. Therefore, you need to be very careful when doing magic with the diary, serve at the delicatessen, and practically sit on clean food. While we sit, conjure, wait. But before our eyes, our dreams of a good catch are fading. I can honestly say, because the practitioner showed, what fish is there? It's scattered. For some reason it's singular. Not Steina though understands. What is bream? Well, it's a schooling fish. Well, I'll share a little secret with you. That in Bradivo I measured myself a couple of days ago. Absolutely the same indicators. That is, bream, for some reason it is not gathering into such global flocks now, into some wintering pits and so on. The water temperature is almost 20 degrees. This is the Moscow River. Don't confuse it with regional ones. The water cools down much faster there. There are all sorts of dumps here. Feed the Moscow River and accordingly the temperature here. And autumn will probably come here. By the end of October, no earlier. Therefore, occasionally bream. And for now, witchcraft brings their periodic roaches. But the catch will be sad. Don't go to a fortune teller, and in essence, this new practitioner understands. Showed the structure absolutely accurately, generally check with a marker, absolute fact. Where Vasia got stuck in the example, specifically this ridge is made of stones, well drawn, that is, bright red. When it is drawn, this is a very specific rigid structure. On the near borders around the grass, they introduced a device, shows the same thing. Some airiness. While Vasia was feeding the point, I threw it again. Practitioner and looked at the screenshots I will attach. It will be cool to see when Vasia fed all these air bubbles in the upper layer. It's really clearly visible, and when he hits the bottom, there's all this muddy dust there too. Such a feeling, it was as if the bottom had been torn apart. That is, there was a structural strip and then it disappeared, and all this nonsense. As if everything is visible at once, but nevertheless, there are some fish swimming nearby. I think we'll get fat, because if the fish are in different ranges, in the depths I think, that we will find her anyway. 3 points, 3 different feeding distances. Our skill, I think we will figure it out. The third hour is already much more fun. There were some thoughts at all to shut down this whole almshouse. But after the distant, I fed him generously and I caught 1 bream from there. It seemed that we were all masters. After all, he's kind of on a long trip. But no way, after this bream there was not a single fish from there. Even this little one, cigarette striped, didn't pull. I finished feeding him, of course. Maybe I'll go back there again. But most likely it is unlikely, because Ozia lived well 30 years on roach. I even got a couple of breams. And it's the same for me. Not bad. Works 42. At this distance, we worked very carefully on the living creature. Because We are afraid to collect these striped ones on practically clean food. Well, the main thing is the trick in this format. It's like sitting on clean food with a volumetric feeder. We are sitting on a large volume with a small one amount of living component. Only chopped, nothing whole. There are not that many fish. But sometimes roaches come in waves in batches 3, 4 fish 3, 4 fish clap, silence again, and sometimes in these pauses the bream gets shot. Well, for now it's witchcraft and execution, but in reality if the roach bites, we will probably focus more on it. Rather than sit and wait for this bream, it's not clear at all what's on his mind. We have a competition going on right now, with 0 coefficients at constant. And who is this? And who is this? Someone is fat. Well, that's basically it. At this distance, this theme is working for now. A little bit of cutting. In large volume, feeders with food. Leash meter 20. The most optimal option. Sometimes 2 minutes pass, you take it out and the roach is already hanging there. Oh well, that's clearly not a roach. He shakes his head so much, like a bream. Yes, here he is today. He doesn't spoil us at all. Well, we've been doing some magic for this hour. There's probably already a 4th one here. But by Moscow standards, I think. Can you imagine the picture of 4 bream there in 3 hours? This is a sad picture, in fact. But our principle is simple. We catch everything that can be caught. Well, of course we're trying. Conjure at least some fish. But put it somehow systematically. I throw it there and work with the form. Despite the distance of 43 and 6, 3/6 to 80 is that very favorite one, the form I already told you about. He is just with me on a permanent basis. And for the super long range of 60 meters cost form 4 and 2. 4 and 2 are thrown there without any effort at all. A large feeder is a must. Otherwise, we won't hold anyone. Well, and the most important thing, you won't get tired of fishing like this. Here is a 42 meters feeder 60. I think there are 6 or 7 cells. That is, voluminous and long. And it throws and flies without any questions at all. A little overload, of course. Well, you can feel it from the form, that now without a strong crosswind I can't break through anything. Flies well, no questions at all. Today, as for the live component, we have the same as always, and the maggot is red and white. Average. Fatness and plumpness. Small bloodworm in perfect condition today. Simply perfect. The big Urals too, because in this kind of fishing, when the fish closes its mouth, he's being capricious and running around somewhere on unknown business. The device shows that the bream is simply very pressed to the bottom, that is, most likely. The fish do not move. Stop them accordingly. It won't work if they don't move. Today they're lying somewhere. There everyone is eating something and barely moving. Well, here's the hope that sometimes the floodgate opens. This is the movement of water. Always works well. That is, when there is water movement, some kind of fish food is being made. It turns out that the signal is arriving from a greater distance. Nothing like that at all. Nothing worked for us again. And a little more cutting. And the next launch will be anyway. Well, what did she want from us? That we will just sit and watch and nothing. Some kind of such system. It seems we are deducing. But it's still not a 100% topic. With a slight trim. We are sitting and waiting for the arrival. Ha ha ha! The roach comes first. The second one flies right away. Full cutting feeder. The fish is stuck. And this one begins. Magical roach fishing. When you hook melon, there is no one there. All bloodworms. Unjust killed in my stockings. You are shortening. She tells you you're a fool. Back you lengthen. Well, with such selections of hooks, we come to completely different conclusions, absolutely different. Who did the work? Then bend the crystal. Then 100. Then in general it's a standard semicircular L round and so on. Well, we understand that it is definitely a light wire. Let it fall longer. Let it hang. Let this roach believe that this is a supernatural motel. From somewhere above, like manna from heaven is pouring down on her. But nevertheless, would you serve it right here on your fingers? They're really stuck. You immediately come to clean food feed so that they don't sink to the bottom and poke around there. Because the bites immediately increase 3 times more than 2 of them, we decided accordingly that's so simple 2 blackberry feeders and then you switch back to empty food. And so they come running after this empty one. There is nothing there. The nozzle flies after. Bams attack, bams attack. Well, I can say that it's the 4th hour. Beat all 3 previous ones. Just probably 2 or 3 times. And most importantly, when the bream comes, it is already caught simply as by catch. That is, it does not cut off the point. You can see that there is a good amount of roach. Vassia has already been there. I used the hook to get the scales out. When the feeder falls, I feel like I'm hitting the fish there. That is, another division of fishermen came running there. I think it's this. With your patience, and with great effort, we achieved this ride at the 4th hour. Arrival or departure of fish, I don't know what this is. In terms of time, there is no way to tie it to anything. In general, the water and the locks have completely stopped moving. There's just a riser and you can see that we hit this riser. The fish came and we'll hold it on this riser, but for now the catch that is there, I think that there. Well, if we talk about bream, there are probably 7 or 8 of them already. This is already at there, they're 450. Probably 500 kilograms already. 4 or 5. Well, and I don't know, there are about 15 roaches there. 20 is spring deem or more. So there's a catch. And most importantly, his next jerk. The most important thing is that we gain some experience. Let's try to apply it already. The next day in his company, we'll see what this leads to. And we for now. From such escape locations, we understood that there are no fish at all, let alone in Brativo. In these water areas, there are 2 locks between. Kolomensky and Besetsky simply don't exist. What's not clear about this fish? I don't understand at all who caught her. Well, friends, technology to help us, otherwise the fishing would have ended very sadly. Fortunately, practice has shown that the fish are all scattered. No need to worry. She needs to be fed, hold it correctly, and the result will be accordingly. There are probably about 7 of these gravies here, 8, but at least it's a roach. Who hasn't fished for a long time on the Moscow River? Finally pleased with his bites. Sometimes the bends were so big it seemed like it was a carp, and now the fishing rod will just be blown away. Well, I think that as I said, there are 4 of these breams here. 5, but these are probably 7 kills. 8, so guys, be sure to use new technologies. There is no way without them, trust me. In the spinning rod, which I have recently started to study more thoroughly, without modern devices, there is practically nothing to do. So in their feeder movement, they must necessarily apply technologies that, in the 20th year, the end of the year is almost 25th, are already keeping up with the times and helping to achieve such catches. Just throw it somewhere for no apparent reason. It has been uncultured for a long time now. But thank you. What did you watch? Subscribe to the channel, put likes. Be sure to visit the links under the video. There is all the useful information. And was Kuzanov Sergeyev with you. See you soon, bye.